B set the internet on fire the moment this clip dropped. "I'll beat Ice Spice up, I ain't Latto." That line wasn't just shade, it was a direct shot at two of the hottest rising names in female rap. Ice Spice, the Bronx princess climbing the charts. Latto, one of the most consistent voices of the new generation. And here's Cardi, already an established star, basically telling the world she's above them and ready for smoke. But this wasn't just about rap, this was a declaration of war. In that moment, Cardi showed that she wasn't just competing, she was fighting for respect, fighting for relevance, and fighting to remind everyone that she's still the one to watch. The problem? This clip didn't make her look powerful, it made her look threatened. Instead of lifting herself up, it sounded like she was trying to pull others down. And in an industry built on perception, that single moment became fuel for her biggest rival, Nicki Minaj, and set the stage for one of the ugliest, most personal rap feuds we've seen in years.
Apologize in advance. It's about to get nasty. Nicki Minaj went ahead and said, "Culture, you are a roach and a monkey just like your sister." Oh Lord. Mind you guys, this whack comes after Cardi B went ahead and said that she would spill the tea on why Papa Bear don't know his ABCs. Cardi B went ahead and responded to Nicki Minaj calling Culture, for one, a vulture, and for two, pretty much calling Culture ugly. Cardi B went ahead and said that Nicki Minaj's son is non-verbal, which was probably the biggest mistake that Cardi B could have done.
As if that wasn't enough, the beef crossed a line no one expected. A TikTok clip surfaced where Nicki appeared to throw shots at Culture, Cardi B's young daughter. Fans were stunned because children are supposed to be off limits. That's an unspoken rule in hip-hop. You don't bring kids into grown people's battles. But Cardi didn't back down. She fired back at Nicki's child, even going as far as to call them non-verbal, and that moment hit differently. Suddenly, this wasn't just rap beef, it was personal, it was ugly, and it left fans asking, how far is too far? The backlash was heavy. People said this wasn't entertainment anymore, this was pain spilling onto timelines. The idea that two of the biggest female rappers of our generation were dragging each other's innocent children into the mix turned what could have been a lyrical competition into something darker. And once that door was opened, the feud took on a whole new energy.
Cardi B went ahead and said, "Papa Bear, I'm sorry you can't speak, and banging spoons because your mom couldn't put the drinks down. I'm sorry your mom not even paying attention to you on your own birthday because she's such an obsessed and dark-spirited hated hoe. I'm so sorry." Nicki Minaj sent out a warning and she told Lucian, Elliott, and Rock Nation, "Yo, y'all better get her because if y'all don't, things about to get real nasty." And things definitely did get even nastier. Nicki Minaj went ahead and uploaded a few tweets just pertaining to Bodega Barney and Barney Dangerous and Barney B, and even addressed Hennessy. Nicki Minaj also went ahead and said, "Where's the roach spray? I'ma spray that in her disease-riddled mouth. Bunch of dip."
Now, in 2025, no feud stays in the streets or in the music. It always plays out on X. And this is where Nicki Minaj proved why she's still one of the most clever minds in hip-hop. Nicki posted an eagle. To most people, just a random bird. But her fans knew exactly what it meant. An eagle doesn't waste its time fighting crows. It flies higher, leaving them behind. Then she followed it with a post that said $4.99. That one number sent waves across the industry. It was a jab at Cardi's album being discounted, a not so subtle way of saying, you're not selling at full value. Cardi clapped back, trying to shift the argument. She said Nicki should compare herself to Rihanna, Taylor Swift, Drake, artists of her own era, but fans weren't having it. They remembered Cardi's entire rise was built on being Nicki's competition. Her fan base celebrated that comparison when it benefited her, and now, in the face of losing, she wanted to move the goalposts. This is what made the Twitter war brutal. Nicki's posts were slick, strategic, and symbolic. Cardi's replies felt emotional, defensive, and inconsistent. And in the eyes of millions of fans, that difference in composure mattered more than any album sale.
I'ma beat her ass. I'ma get fire beat up on my niggas. Y'all gonna see what the is up. You think I'm you pussy ass Latto?
And then the bomb dropped. A leaked audio recording of Cardi B herself ranting about Ice Spice, doubling down on I ain't Latto, and making it clear she didn't respect these younger rappers. For Cardi, this was devastating, because in public she was trying to brand herself as the big sister of female rap, the one who supported women, the one who wanted unity. But behind the scenes, this audio showed another side, bitter, insecure, and ready to tear down her peers. The internet ran with it. TikTok edits dissected every word. Twitter memes turned her rant into comedy. YouTube reactors broke it down like a courtroom case, and the narrative was set. Cardi was exposed. No PR spin could change the fact that this was her voice. This wasn't a rumor. This was real. And the irony? Nicki didn't even have to say much. She just sat back while the internet did the dragging for her. And just when the tension with Nicki was already out of control, Cardi B turned her fire toward JT. But this time, it wasn't leaked audio or a subtweet. It was a straight up screenshot that Cardi put out herself. Cardi wrote, "Didn't hit you back in the DM 20 minutes ago, but I gotta come to the timeline for a response? You're muting private, but steady arguing here. Like I said, this is all for show. Opportunist." In other words, Cardi was calling JT out for being quiet behind the scenes, but loud in front of an audience. To Cardi, that made JT a hypocrite, someone who only wanted to perform the drama when it could go viral. Fans jumped on it immediately. Some said Cardi had a point, that JT was putting on a show, but others said this actually made Cardi look worse, because instead of keeping it private, she blasted the DMs out to the world. Once again, it showed how Cardi can't resist making everything public, even when it makes her look messy. And that's the double-edged sword of social media beef. Cardi thought she was exposing JT, but in the process, she exposed herself, proving that she'd rather entertain the crowd than handle her business quietly. Because the internet never forgets, and the stress you invite online, it might cost you more than the beef ever could. Then came the Latto situation. After being caught on audio throwing shade, Cardi tried to make peace. She apologized to Latto and even offered to buy her a purse. But here's the kicker. She called it a private apology and then posted it on X for millions to see. Fans immediately called it out. How can something be private when you blast it online? It didn't look genuine. It didn't look heartfelt. It looked like damage control. Instead of saving her image, it made things worse. People saw it as a calculated move, an attempt to win public sympathy instead of fixing the actual relationship. And just like that, Cardi's credibility took another hit. Every screenshot, every post became another piece of evidence that she wasn't in control anymore. She was reacting, scrambling, and trying to undo mistakes the internet had already locked in. And through all of this, one fact made everything even heavier. Cardi B is pregnant. While she's battling Nicki on X, defending herself from leaked audio, and issuing public apologies, she's also carrying life inside her. Fans started asking the real question, why put yourself through this kind of stress while you're pregnant? This isn't just a rap battle. Stress at this level can affect health, peace of mind, and family life. And it made the whole spectacle look reckless. Instead of being celebrated for her success, Cardi was seen as consumed by beef. Instead of focusing on her blessing, she was fighting strangers online. And for many fans, that was the saddest part of the story. Because no matter how tough you are, no feud is worth sacrificing your peace or your child's well-being. When you step back, this feud reveals two very different approaches. Nicki Minaj plays chess. Calculated moves, sharp wordplay, and symbolic posts that her fans decode and amplify. Cardi plays checkers, emotional reactions, contradictions, and public backpedaling. Nicki sticks to wit and confidence. Cardi gets tangled in stress, drama, and self-inflicted wounds. And in hip-hop, perception is everything. Nicki came out looking untouchable, witty, and in control. Cardi came out looking defensive, exposed, and overwhelmed. That's why fans say Nicki is unbeatable. It's not just her bars, it's her strategy. She knows how to stay above the chaos while making her opponents drown in it. At the end of the day, this feud between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B wasn't just about rap. It wasn't just about sales or tweets or memes. It was about control. It was about who could keep their composure when the world was watching. Nicki Minaj proved why she's lasted more than a decade in this game. She stayed witty, she stayed sharp. She used humor and timing to her advantage. An ego post, a $4.99 tweet, the right moment of silence. Each move felt calculated. She never let the internet see her sweat, and that's why her legacy stays intact. Cardi B, on the other hand, showed the danger of letting emotion run the show. Every time she reacted, every time she clapped back, every time she doubled down and then backtracked, it chipped away at her power. Instead of controlling the story, she became part of the circus, and the internet never forgives that. They save every screenshot, they clip every audio. They will turn your weakest moments into memes that live forever. But the most important part, Cardi is doing all this while pregnant. That's not just stress for her image, that's stress on her health, that's stress on her peace. And it makes people wonder, what's really worth more, the beef or the baby? the clout or the calm, the timeline or the future you're building for your family. Because when you zoom out, this isn't just about Nicki and Cardi anymore. It's a lesson for anybody living in the age of social media. Every time you go online to prove a point, you're leaving a trail. Every time you argue, every time you rant, every time you post something you think is private but isn't, it becomes part of your permanent record, and that record will outlive the beef. So what can we learn from this? Protecting your peace is more valuable than protecting your pride. Winning an argument online will never matter as much as keeping your health, your family, and your future safe. Nicki showed what happens when you fly above the noise. Cardi showed what happens when you let the noise consume you. And in the end, that's the real difference, because the internet never forgets, and the stress you invite online, it might cost you more than the beef ever could.